It's Tuesday. It's January 25th, 2022. I'm watching the morning program that they're sending to the humans on the teleportation device, trying to make sure that I'm prepared as best as I can be in going out the front door and onto the boulevard. And on comes a piece that the humans are speaking of, about America. Now, in New York, and I'm pretty sure other states within the United States of America, that coast to coast, Atlantic to Pacific, and there's lower 48. At some point, they made it 50. I don't know. I can't verify that with somebody in the somebody special department. But because I don't have access to them. So we'll go somewhere between there's whatever's intercontinental. I think Canada calls us the lower 48. So with that being said, I know the humans on teleportation device have mentioned like park ranger types, and I don't want rangers and wranglers to get upset. They have a a uniform, not warden, but not game warden, but in a game warden, maybe a game warden again, in a more alpine setting, or I don't know if they call them spruce. I'm pretty sure that's Italian. I don't know the arbor correctness for more towards Canada. Anyhow, so there's South Dakota, and there's a monument called Mount Rushmore. This the humans have taught me via teleportation device. It's a national monument. It solidifies and anchors the correctness of the area with the monetary system being the green bills, which the Federal Reserve knows about or is marked on the paper. So the forgotten about, I suppose, like myself, has, I mean, in my understanding, simple things I can visually ascertain. And it was like I dropped out of the sky and I haven't met another human. And if I have to look for signs of intelligence and life on this, in this area, I've got a paper system, which I don't have on me, that has something to do with the U.S. Treasury, which is monetary, fiscal. It has pictures of the same men, the same profile, and then the almost 3D version built inside of a mountain. They actually sculpted it. So it was one step more of anchor in no, this is how it is. And then I have some paper system and some silver coin, green paper, silver coin that goes along with that one piece of intelligence for this area that is monumental. Now, they call them the founding fathers. There's four faces. All four faces look familial to my ancestry. Now, there is this morning a network or a televised whatever, and they're speaking of an entertainer, is what the humans are calling it, by the name of Bill Cosby. He's been in trouble with the law before, apparently. Again, I don't really know that level of humanity. I know you exist, but I just don't know the words and the. I try to stay at quiet raising children and trying to stay within the guidelines of this area as best I can for as much as they can communicate to me what I should or shouldn't be doing. And so while they were attending to Cosby, apparently in the 1980s, and I did see this, there was a television show on one of the networks called The Cosby Show, after Bill Cosby, and he left a mark of artistic whatever or entertainment whatever or whatever word they're using, but he is in direct violation of founding fathers because he left a community of advocates that he was America's dad, America's father. Now that puts our monetary system and our anchor system of who we are between Atlantic and Pacific in governance, that puts that in jeopardy, or that is a direct conflict. So I'm just confused as to whom and how they were allowed or given an allowance to have that level of a voice to try to rewrite America's dad for some new generation into something that goes against safety procedure and protocol for the land things between the Atlantic and Pacific coast in the lower 48 from Canada. I mean, it just, for me, it just seems like a really dangerous reprogramming of certain population that then could turn dangerous for safety procedures and keeping neat and tidy and societal obedience. It seems like it's an antagonist that didn't need to be added, almost like fuel to a future fire or a fuel to a future argument that didn't need to be set in stone or set in the minds of the children. I mean, I watched the program. I when I was a child, I mean, I was watching, again, like I say, it's like I arrived in 1978 to a crime scene in progress, and I just don't know where the investigators are, if they're just busy with other things, who to speak to, but it looks like crime scene in progress, and now I'm a witness to a crime, and now I don't want crime scene investigators to turn on me and make me look like I'm something that I'm not, because I'm trying to stay out of their way. But I also don't know when or how or where I'm needed because of whatever's going on. So I'm going to let the teleportation community explain what they see Cosby as, because for me, in grounded in some form of real world reality where I can touch a piece of paper and see the profile and see Washington, D.C.'s Capitol building on it and some other symbolic gestures, and then I know that it's carved in stone elsewhere for importance, and these are, for without a doubt, our founding fathers. I get confused when I hear this level of story being spoken as if just in this particular area, as if there was some kind of argument to be had, because I mean, it looks rationale, like just logic of I have visual paper, there's big agreement in somebody took the time to carve the pictures on the paper into a mountain, and it is, if I could walk, I think, would take me a really long time, but it's somehow in distance where eventually I could visit it by foot, by horse, by whatever. Now we have vehicles, trains, whatever. But it is within our corridor of landlocked of importance. But this is what's going on teleportation and trying to I don't know, use the word brainwash over or try to reprogram over. I'm not all right with this. But again, I just feel like my vote has never really been counted. I don't know where, and then I don't want to get in trouble for saying what I feel. And I don't want my safety and security blanket to just be ripped away by whatever thinks it's in the correct or the correctness of something different.
Dad to alleged sexual predator. In 2018, Bill Cosby was convicted of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault and was sentenced to prison. He denied the allegations. Last year, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned that conviction due to
That
a
was
procedural
Pennsylvania.
issue which
I don't know
prevents
what.
him from being retried for this case. The court did not make a ruling on the allegations. Cosby first rose to fame in the 1960s with a stand-up comedy. Then in 1984, his hit sitcom, The Cosby Show, solidified his reputation as America's dad. Dr. Cliff Huxtable, the 4-part
That's a
documentary
problem.
We Need to Talk About Cosby, takes an unfiltered look at his complex...
Because they're still perpetuating this conversation and with this mantra and with this motive, and it's not being corrected. It's destabilizing the area, the country of the United States of America, and it's also partially, I mean, now they're going to some form of cryptocurrency. I mean, there's a lot of destabilization going on, which I'm really concerned about. But again, I don't know how to carefully inform my forever family. I am in the Big Apple in a one tree. I got Lynn, I'm born L and L dialogue, Lynn and Lou dialogue, but I.
Legacy. The series features interviews with women who allege the sexual assault happened by Cosby. It also includes comedians, journalists, and academics like Jelani Cobb.
You don't often learn that your heroes are really the worst sorts of villain. Like, that's not something that's a normal experience. Or that this person who you think of as a hero has fooled the entire country about what their character really is.
W. Kamau Bell is the director and executive producer of the series. He joins us now. Kamau, good morning. As I said to you before we started, covered this case, both trials. I noticed that you said earlier, this docuseries feels like it could end my career, and many times while making it, I hoped it would just go away. So why this film? Why focus on Bill Cosby?
I mean, you know, I was born in the early 70s, so my whole life, Bill Cosby's been part of the wallpaper of Black America. Mm-hmm. And because of the kind of program he was doing as a kid, it was aimed at me. The Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, picture pages, the Electric Company, it was all stuff that I was seeing all around my life. And
I've never heard of this Electric Company. I'm not sure what that is.
Because of Bill Cosby himself, and the Cosby Show felt like I was a member of the family. And so when I found out what we all found out, and I believed that the women were sexually assaulted and raped, that how do you hold on to this? And as Black folks, it's a conversation we've been having amongst ourselves a little bit, but I feel like this was the time to sort of bring it all together at the time he had been sent to.
I feel that they speak a lot. I know that they said they speak a little. Every time I turn on teleportation, it feels like it's some viewpoint of theirs. They're trying to get across. They're really defensive. They're really aggressive because they really want you to know. I get that, but it's an insult to my intelligence, the fact that there are anchors of stability that are being jeopardized because of all of this conversation time. And I don't see real fixing time. I feel like I'm being crushed to not even have a breath to take in order to speak at this point in 43 years, and I've gotten nowhere after 30 years of my LL parental unit that I arrived through. Also, we're struggling in the same New York area.
isn't what we thought was going to be for.
But as you point out in your documentary, you said you were used to difficult conversations.
Yeah, on my show, United Shades of America on CNN, famously my first episode was with the Ku Klux Klan. So this is like, somehow it's become part of my brain to have.
I've heard them mention Ku Klux Klan. I have no idea what it really is because nobody's really like.
And the things
I don't have my forever family to teach me, honestly.
Some of the things I hadn't heard before.
I mean, there's a couple things. One, I think a lot of Cosby's career involves the history of Black America in the 20th century. Roland Martin makes that point, and I think we don't want to throw that away because there are important things like Cosby integrating the stunt industry for Black people.
Yes.
And the other part of it is this is bigger than Cosby. Like, powerful
Like, is this
men in
open
media,
admission
sexually
of
harassing
espionage
women
and trying to
is a story
take
that is
down
not
governments?
One man, one
I'm
network.
just
We all know
curious
happens
because
all
it's
throughout
what
the
it
industry,
feels like,
everywhere,
but I
wherever
don't
you sit.
see the humans
So, the
talking
idea
about
being that
it
we have
at
to
any length
figure out how to create a
as
safer
of what it
industry.
actually
Parts, you
is.
spoke to a lot of people, but you didn't speak or reach out to Cosby's camp, and they commented and said that they're having a bigger statement tomorrow, but basically called this baseless and had problems with the fact that they didn't have any input, I guess, in this film.
I mean, Bill Cosby and his camp has been very clear about where they stand on this, and this to me was about reckoning with the legacy and reckoning with what we can learn from this. And I think we have clips of Bill Cosby throughout to show what he thinks about these things and how he feels about these things. It didn't feel like if you're going to put the survivors in here, that you also then put Bill Cosby in here.
At the time when you were shooting it, did you think the Bill Cosby story was over? Because when you started, he was actually in jail.
Yeah, it seemed like he was going to be in jail for the rest of his life at his age, so I thought this is the time we can have the conversation. A recurring problem in America is it's never time for the conversation.
Yeah.
So he got out, and it felt like maybe the whole film goes away, but it was like the conversation is still relevant. It's still, I'm trying to create a space. If you don't want to have this conversation, there are plenty of other things on TV for you to watch, but I think there are large percentages of people, and specifically Black folks, who are ready for the conversation.
I think a lot of people are ready for the conversation, and I think Bill Cosby is only going to drive people to the documentary if he's going to come out tomorrow and give a big statement about it, as you just mentioned.
What
I was curious though that some
conversation
people who you
is-
invited
I
to sit
just
down
don't
did
understand.
not want to do it. Is that because they wanted to continue to live with the myth or the image of Cosby, or because they were afraid of a backlash from the Cosby camp? But what's that calculation like?
And they
All of
use
that
this
and
word
more.
camp.
Everybody has a different calculation. I
Again,
had some
confusing.
incredible conversations
Is that
with people
sleepaway
that were
camp?
like hour-long conversations where they said no. I had some incredible conversations where they said maybe, that turned into no. That was very helpful. I'm not going to say who those people are. It's up to them to decide if they want us to talk. But this is a third rail conversation for everybody because he was America's dad.
Yeah,
Right, and they always say watch that third rail at the train station because that's where you get zapped and
I
fried.
don't want to, but I'm going to go there. Did you
Yeah.
find that there were still women who this had happened to, but also didn't want to come forward?
Yeah, I mean, there are, as we know, there's over 60 women who've come forward saying he's assaulted or raped them. And we didn't talk to near that many. Now, we couldn't have, but also many we asked said no because they feel like, first of all, every time they talk about it, they're going to be subject to attack. So they feel like, I've done that enough, I don't need to do it again.
Are you worried about the incoming that's sure to come your way now from the Cosby camp and still the
sure.
people that support him?
Oh, sure.
And you plan to deal with that how? Or your thoughts about that or what?
I mean, I don't know what to prepare for other than be prepared. So, I know it's coming tomorrow. It's also my birthday tomorrow. So
Everybody agrees, everybody in the documentary agrees Cosby was a tremendous entertainer, right? That's beyond dispute.
Yes.
What do you say to people at home? Where do you come down on the question of, do you continue to consume that entertainment? Can you watch him? Or
I mean, I watched him a lot to make this documentary, and there's a segment where we talk about the nighttime is the right time, the Ray Charles lip sync that the family does in one of the early episodes. And when I watch it, I connect to that kid I was who was like blown away by this. And when I watch
him now.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
separate
they
the art from the artist in less than 30 seconds.
we do that all the time. And we all separate the art from the artist all the time. I think if I watch Cosby, I'm still doing it in the context of the bigger story.
And you have 3 daughters.
I have 3 daughters.
So this means even something.
Yeah, at some point, this will stumble across their faces, and I will have to explain to them, this is good, in an age-appropriate way, this is the bigger story.
Yeah.
wow.
How did you feel when it was over, when you had talked to the people that you talked to? There were so many moving, poignant moments in this documentary.
It doesn't feel over. Like it feels
doesn't.
like it. I mean, it's. I don't know when this is going to feel like it's over. But it doesn't. It feels like it's just beginning because the conversation that is important is not the doc. It's the conversation after people watch it.
And you said you want to create a safe space. You left the documentary saying, I want women to feel safe, to come forward and speak.
It's about specifically the entertainment industry looking at itself and going, how do we create more safety and accountability? And then America as a whole, how do we make victims and survivors of sexual assault feel like they can get justice and healing in a way that they don't feel now? It's still underreported.
Thank you very much. I started out watching one episode, and before I knew it, I had watched all 4 of them.
Now, on my sexual assault and whatever, it is a harder conversation to have, considering every time it happens, I'm knocked out and I can't even be my own witness. So now it's relying on the kindness of strangers to tell a story, correct? And it's not just once, it's been repeatedly done. So this is all at the same time that the people at teleportation and entertainment industry are dancing around, doing whatever they're doing and enjoying whatever lives they've created for themselves, while the rest of us are in some collapsing part of the universe. The UV ray is too high. COVID's now here. It's heavy gravity where it pushes you down, like heavy, like on the shoulders, on the physicality of the human, because so much time has been thrown in to projects that matter to the people who are entangled within them. But for the greater good and for the reason why I was originally woven into this section of the universe, there's been no progress. None. Not that I can see. Star 197, none that I can feel. At 43, I can barely keep my shoulders straight. There's so much disproportion of the human body in my one instance, wiffle ball, fingers through, clutching to my chest. And then the outside, the cloth of the universe, the fabric of space and time, is not conjoined with my human in a healthy frame, that it's actually the fabric of time and space is actually collapsing in like some origamic way that is physically crushing me into some altered body function, which now is making it more decrepit and more difficult to go about daily function. Almost like crumpling a piece of paper on a script that you were going to write a story, you were going to write a love poem that you already wrote, and then you decided to crumple it up and throw it in the waste paper basket because you had that level of power. That's what it feels like. So for alien, monster, and human hybrid conversation, Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It is Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe. Galaxy is broken, and it is Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.